Jesus. That was quick. Hello. I'm just a sucker for pain. And I told you. So I'm just going to be reading and not recording so that I know what's happening. It's a long chapter. Not touching you. Hello. I'm just a sucker for pain. What? Oops. Oh boy. No. Of course it's a sloth. That used to be my old profile picture. Just used to be a sloth that read stories. Now that I think of it, I don't really need. Okay. Time to do the thing. Atu walked slowly along, dragging a huge chunk of meat piled on a sled-like device the seers called a sledge. It was made of 2 tree saplings like runners, with the bottom made of the tusk animal's hide. The women had come to the kill site and with their rounded knives had skinned the tusked animals. Then using larger implements and sometimes the help of the men as needed, they cut the meat into manageable portions and placed it on the animals' hides. Atu had stood to the side, watching the women, Mievu among them. He didn't want to admit it, but the other hunters were right. If he was seeing Mievu for the first time, he would have assumed she was of an age to be bonded. He would have to keep a closer eye on her from now on. Ubuntu saw Atu watching Mievu, and a protective look passed between them. Atu relaxed. He and his father were more than enough to keep Mievu safe. Atu stepped in to help the men, who were using the trees to lash the hides on each side. Once that was done, the meat was loaded and the women walked behind the men, chatting among themselves while the men dragged the sledges back to the camp on the East Coast. Because they're in Miami. It would be easier if we didn't have to move the game so far, Ubuntu said, pulling his sledge up alongside Atu's later that day. I guess when our clans are on the move, we'll just make camp wherever the kill has been made. It is hard to drag these sledges, Atu agreed. He stopped walking long enough to wipe the sweat stinging his eyes before continuing. He slapped at the tiny blood-sucking flying animals clustering on his arms and neck. And we still have a full day's walk to go. Meanwhile, we are the prey of these nasty little hunters. The bigger black ones bite so fast and fly away. You can't kill them, his father said as if he'd read Atu's thoughts. But they seem to prefer biting the meat we're carrying instead of us. At least for now. Atu pulled on, not even answering his father. I hate this place. Ubuntu and Atu walked for most of the day in silence, the other hunters and women talking around them as they slowly traversed back to camp. Suka and Kinnak pulled up beside Atu with Bruna and another older hunter, Stanek. It is such a dangerous way to kill game, Bruna was saying. One must be brave and willing to die for his clan in the hunt. He grinned at Suka and Atu. But you saved me to hunt another day. Stanek punched Bruna in the shoulder. I guess I have to come up with another voice. What's Stanek gonna sound like? I've done so many voices. Yes, this time. But you draw too close to the animals too quickly. Before you are sure they cannot rise again. You must stab them more first, to make sure of the kill. Kinnak was hanging on to every word the seer hunters were speaking, and Atu saw the excitement flare in his eyes as they talked about the hunt, examining each part in detail, what each hunter had done and how it had contributed to the taking of 3 large males. Suka. Oh yeah. I am Suka. It is dangerous, I can see that. His voice low. It is dangerous, I can see that. Suka said, his voice low. But the animals die, such a horrible death. Don't you... Who cares how they die? I've already forgotten what he sounds like. Who cares how they die? Stanek interrupted, looking with scorn at Suka as if he were stupid. Damn. We say the proper words over them. We say the proper words over them. Death is death, and their spirits go to the great spirit in the sky who looks after all living things. How they die doesn't matter. What matters is how much meat each animal provides for our clan. Much more than those same hunters could bring home by hunting smaller game. Right, Bruna? He grinned at Bruna. Even if we do lose a foolish young hunter now and then. But Stanek was interrupted by Bruna yanking his water pouch from his belt and thwacking Stanek on the back of the head with it. The water pouch broke and drenched the man to his waist. Much to Atu's surprise, Stanek didn't react in anger. Instead, the elder hunter shook his head, sending a shower of water over the rest of them. Then he laughed, a loud roaring laugh that drew the attention of the rest of the group. Bruna joined in, and after a moment Kinnak, as well as many of the other hunters and women, was laughing, although Kinnak looked uncomfortable about it. Suka remained silent after that. Kinnak tried to strike up a conversation with Atu and Ubantu, but when they only grunted back, he gave up, and the three hunters moved past them, followed by Suka, walking alone. The wind was warm from the west, the grass rippling like waves across the sea, the sky like an upturned bowl of blue. Almost like home, Atu thought. Like home would be now, I think, with waves moving on the expanse, now open water, and the sky shining above. But thinking about what the expanse might look like unfrozen only made him feel worse, so he concentrated on pooling instead. A hopper popped out of the grass onto Atu's arm. Atu had at first reacted to everyone, jumping back as they leaped in random directions out of the long grass and into the air in front of him. He had grown used to them by now. At least they don't bite us, he thought. One jumped and landed on Atu's chest as he pulled the sledge. The little creature was as long as his smallest finger, green like the grass, with 6 little legs bent at odd angles. Its eyes looked like broken bits of dark ice, and 2 waving appendages moved on its head like flexible spears testing the air around it. Just as suddenly as it had jumped on him, it leaped away, making a rasping sound as it disappeared into the grass. They died without honor, Ubantu said into the silence. The hoppers? Atu looked his question at his father. Ubantu stopped, and Atu studied his face. It was stony, his eyes like 2 deep holes in the ice, dark and dangerous. He spoke low, for Atu's ears alone. I don't like this curved tusk hunting. It is not the Nuvik way. To kill game by scaring it into stampeding, to threaten its young, to kill it slowly, to cause it such great pain before its spirit is freed from its body. I don't like it at all. Ubantu grasped Atu's shoulder, his grip strong. My voice feels weird. I don't know why. Can a voice feel weird? Mine feels weird. I feel like I'm not hitting my narrator voice right. It's not deep enough. Or it's not gravelly enough. I just had some honey. I had some honey and it was really good. And I just drank straight honey. Or I don't drink straight honey. I guess I'm eating it, but whatever. Not touching you. It's because I'm not actually like sitting up straight. What you want eaten? Maybe if I get up here. Ooh, that's a little better. I don't sound as crazy. Maybe if I just turn my fan on, get in the mood. Set the stage, get in the mood. Burp every 2 seconds. Burp, cough, and then clear your throat. I feel like something's wrong with my ears too. I'm a mess. Where was I? Is grip strong? Just feel like there's something going on, man. Just something going on, man. I can't feel it. I can't feel it. I can't feel it. I can feel it. Let's go. Let's do it. Yeah, get your head in the game. Somebody smack my butt. Otto looked into his father's eyes again, and his heart beat faster as he saw a clearness there he hadn't seen since their arrival. That's what it's supposed to sound like. I know I've been like a Pulik hiding in its mother's hood. What is... These guys are weird. I know I've been like a Pulik hiding in its mother's hood, my son, since we stepped onto this new land, Ubuntu said. It has all seemed too much to know. Excuse me? Could you please keep it down out there, please? Thank you. Charge phone. Thank you. Charge again. Charge. Do thing. Do. What does Ubuntu sound like? Alright. Big mask. I am Ubuntu. Yeah. That's it. That's what he sound like. I am Ubuntu. I'm a hunter dude. Yeah. Getting them bitches. Yeah. It has all seemed too much to know. Too much to learn. I feel like I've been neither in the here and now nor in the between of sleep, but somewhere else, somewhere I could not escape. But Stanic's words have woken me out of whatever place my spirit has been. My spirit stirs within me, and it says this way of life is wrong for a Nuvik. Something wrong, man. I don't know. Maybe I need more honey. A sudden rush of release swept through Atu's body. I don't like it either, Father, and I won't do it again, Atu added. He looked to see how his father would react to his declaration. Good, Ubuntu said. There is enough game along the coast. I will learn the ways of the skin boat too. We will stay. Paven can go with Ashukat and his people. Let them live on this grass of biters. Ashukat doesn't want Paven to come with them, Atu said, his heart heavy, his spirit sinking. Why not, my son? Ubuntu said. He believes Paven will bring violence to the Seer clan because Paven doesn't respect the gifts. Gifts. Still can't say gifts. Gifts. Fuck it. But we need to... Damn it. Maybe I should gargle some apple cider vinegar or something. There feels like there's a catch in my throat that I can't get past. And so I can't, there's something there. Something I just can't get. It is from being Southern. He believes Paven will bring violence to the Seer clan because Paven doesn't respect the gifts. The gifts. Just get rid of half the letters in there. But we need to separate from the great frozen clan and Paven and his hunters. Ubuntu grew thoughtful. Surely our clan can learn these new ways, can make a life for ourselves in this land of trees and water. I want to go north again, Father, Otto said. North along the coast, where we can see ice-covered mountains, where it snows and stays, at least in the time the seers call winter, and everyone can be near their name spirits again. I would like to think such a place still exists. Ubuntu's eyes grew hopeful. Do you think it does? Do you think it does? Do you think it does? I think I've seen it in my dreams, Father, Otto said. Along the way we must pass by a mountain of fire, and it may be difficult, but we will make it safely, and beyond it lies the land I described, where we will live. The seers say there is such a fiery mountain north of our camp. We must go north and pass the mountain to find it. His father grinned at him. You have dreamed all this? Yes. Then we'll learn all we can from Ashukat's people about the skin boat hunting in the fiery mountain you talked about to the north. And you and Rika will learn the gifts. Gifts. God damn it. Ah! You and Rika will learn the gifts. It sounds like I'm trying to make it a two-syllable word. Gifts. Gifts. If I say it fast, gifts. Gifts. How do you pronounce gifts? Gift. Like that S is just an entirely different word. Oh, bother. And you and Rico will learn the gifts. When we're ready, we'll go. Paven will say we are fools not to follow the curved tusks, and they're leaving soon. Some of our clan may choose to go with them instead of us. What will we do then, Father? We will be very few again, once Paven's clan and the Seers leave, like we were on the ice. But our clans will not be near enough for clan gatherings, for the exchanging of hunters and women. What will we do when our children are grown and there are no others for them to bond with? Aw, sexy time. What about Suka or Mievu? If Rovek has to go with his father into the grasslands, and we head north along the coast instead, then neither Suka nor Mievu would have a suitable partner in our clan. Cousins sometimes bond if the situation is desperate enough, but I know neither Suka nor Mievu think of each other in that way. Good. I don't know, my son, Ubuntu said. I've only now begun to think clearly again. We'll figure out something. We can't let our small numbers stop us from doing what we think is best. Let Paven say what he will say. Let who wants to go with him go. Ubuntu started pulling his sledge again, and Otto pulled beside him. We cannot force our hunters to come with us. They must decide for themselves what will be best for their families. To come with us, or go with Paven, or go with the Seers. We must not invite the spirit of violence into our midst, as well by... There's more to that sentence. We must not invite the spirit of violence into our midst as well by trying to take advantage of our positions as leaders and trying to force others to come with us, just so we will have more people. We'll work hard to build our boats and be ready, Attu said. You and I will lead all who choose to stay with us by showing them another way. A way where they won't have to live on this hot grassy expanse, killing curved tusks by scaring them into killing themselves without honor, and without being sliced by these flying creatures. And a way where we do not stay in the wet and dreary land near the Rock of the Ancients, with its constant rain and the sense of something evil lurking there. I gotta change that up. We'll work hard to build our boats and be ready. Okay, and then when he talks to himself, and a way where we do not stay in the wet and dreary land near the Rock of the Ancients, with its constant rain and the sense of something evil lurking there. Then he talks down, like he's talking to himself. Gifts. I'm just gonna have to say gifts because it sounds stupid if I say gifts. Gifts. I don't know how to do it. Ubuntu slapped another bloodsucker off his bare forearm. They pierced the skin with their tiny long knife mouths. Mouths. What evil comes with them? Look how my wounds fester. He pointed to the welts all over his arms from their bites. The seers need to find something to keep these little hunters from wounding us. They say they have the memories of their ancestors, but I don't think they've remembered all they need to know about this place. Surely their ancestors knew something to keep these biters away. Attu picked up his pace. You're right, Father. You're right, Father. That's another reason to go north. Our clan together once again, without all the others. I don't want to rely on anyone else. We've lived our whole lives on our own. Until the warming. Let's get ready and head north. We'll go far enough so the sun doesn't make you sweat when you aren't even moving. And there are no bloodsucker flying animals. They hurried to catch up to the others. Soon they were all together again, and Attu began whistling a soft tune. One the hunters often whistled as they walked the long distances over the ice. Ubuntu joined in. Suka, who was a few steps ahead of them, turned and walked back. He looked surprised at Attu's sudden change of mood, smiling at him with a question in his eyes. Later, Attu gestured off to the side. He walked on, hoping once he had told Suka of their plans, his cousin would want to come with them. Suka had been his companion and friend since they were Puliks riding in their mother's hoods. Surely he would prefer coming with me over this. He didn't seem to like hunting the tusked animals either. Attu continued slapping off the biters as they walked the rest of the way back to camp. Entering the pass, the ocean breeze whistled among the rocks and the biters disappeared. Another reason to live near the ocean. Attu took a deep breath of salty air, but as he moved through the pass to the shore, dread arose again. Evil lurked just out of the reach of his seeing, and it was growing. Man. So many voices. Feels like I'm kind of losing my voice a little. So, your training begins today. today. So, your training begins today. A Shukat sat with Atu and Rika near his fire in the seer camp. The first thing you need to know is a Shukat. Stanek approached the elder and bowed. The hunters need to talk with you. I'm instructing Rika and Atu. I will come by your fires later. It is very important that you come now, Stanek said. Behind him, Tingyok stepped out of his shelter, a confused look on his face. Shukat, I think you need to come with us. I'm sorry. Shukat said. I'm needed. Perhaps later today. Atu and Rika nodded. A Shukat pulled himself to his feet, and leaning heavily on his staff, walked away with Stanek and Tingyok toward the seer hunter's central fire. Wait for it. There it is. Classy. Okay. A few nights later, Atu woke to the sound of a spirit calling into the darkness. It was a sharp call, an evil call, echoing back from the mountains and out over the water. Rika clutched his arm, and Atu came fully awake as he realized the sound was in the here and now, and not the between of his dreams. He leaped to his feet and grabbed... I love this author, but I swear, every time I see leaped, it should be leapt, right? Leapt is a word. He leaped to his feet and, grabbing his spear, raced out of their shelter, Rika following. Atu's heart drummed as they raced toward the sound, which seemed to be coming from the beach. Hide flaps were thrown back all around him as others came out of their shelters and joined them. They reached the edge of the water, and Atu and Rika stood on the beach with the others. South along the coastline, what appeared to be monsters made of many fires were moving rapidly toward them. The fires reflected in the dark waters of a calm ocean, and the light of the fires was so bright it blotted out the stars to the south. A low sound resonated through Atu's body, so deep he couldn't hear it as much as feel it, his whole body reacting with a trembling he couldn't control. Women clutched their babies, grabbed their toddlers' hands. Men stared off into the distance, their eyes reflecting the fires of the now recognizable giant canoes, boats not made of skins, but of cedar logs. It's getting good now. Tingyok and a few of the other seers had taken Atu out in one of... What? Tingyok and a few of the other seers had taken Atu out in one of the seers had recent... Out in one... Oh. Tingyok and a few of the other seers had taken Atu out in one of the seers... In one, not in one of... Just in one, come on. Had taken Atu out in one the seers had recently... Oh my god, this sentence. It's fucking me up. Tingyok and a few of the other seers had taken Atu out in one the seers had recently made. But it had been much smaller. These were giant, and there were so many. Rika grabbed Atu's hand and he pulled her to him. "What do we do?" she asked. It was hard to tell from this distance, but it looked to Atu as if each of the mighty canoes was at least twice the length of the Seer clan's largest one. And if the shadows of movement among the torches of fire mounted on each side of the canoes were what Atu thought they were, and the canoes held swords of people, And if the shadows of movement among the torches of fire mounted on each side of the canoes were what Atu thought they were, the canoes held swarms of people. Hundreds of them. More people than Atu had ever seen in one place. It would be as if all the people Atu had ever met were like a drop of water in a bowl. It would be as if all the people Atu had ever met were like a drop of water in a bowl filled with the water that was these people, and they were coming toward his clan. What do we do? What do we do? Ural repeated Rika's question. The question was repeated throughout the clan as Atu's people gathered anxiously together. Are we in danger? Ural asked again. I don't know, Ubuntu replied. Shouldn't we hide? Shouldn't we hide? Shouldn't we hide? Shouldn't we hide? I can't. What's a good inflection for that? Shouldn't we hide? That's how I've been saying it. Shouldn't we hide? That sounds kind of flat. Several of the women began gathering up their children, getting ready to flee. Wait! Atu looked up to see Suka standing on a large jumble of rocks. Debris from the flood that had opened the pass. They're moving in toward the large river. Suka say that? I'm Suka. They're moving in toward the large river. There we go. The clan grew silent as all watched the huge canoes drift out of sight into the mouth of the river to the south. One by one, the flaming boats disappeared around a bend in the shoreline. As the last one vanished, the sound of the drumming faded. They must be headed up the wide river with the waterfalls, Paven said. The beach there is large enough for all those canoes to land. His voice rose on the light breeze. What does that mean? The beach there is large enough for all those canoes to land, I guess. A child started to cry. The stars gleamed above once again in the black night. The child was comforted by his mother, and Atu held Rika even closer to his side. No one spoke. No one moved for a long time. Then a fresh breeze rustled in the cedars, and with its sound the people stirred. I bring no evil, a voice spoke out of the darkness. A shoecat, the seers must have seen, or at least heard the canoes too. Atu looked to where a shoecat stepped out from behind the rock Suka was still standing on. Suka, startled, jumped down from the rocks and walked to where his family stood. Didn't you see them coming? Suka asked. Why didn't you warn us? Why didn't you warn us? None of our seers saw them. I don't know why. A shoecat looked disturbed by his clan's lack of foresight. We need to withdraw into the caves near the rock until we can figure out what they mean to do. We must be cautious with all new people. Our ancestors have taught us this. I don't remember what Tingyuk sound. Oh shit! I don't remember what Tingyuk sounded like. He just sounded kind of old and gruff, I think. There are so many of them. We could never fight them and win. Maybe he had like a weird accent too. I have to go back and listen to the first chapter where he wasn't building his skin boat. There are so many of them. We could never fight them and win. Jingyok had moved to stand beside a Shukat. "We don't even know if they mean us harm yet," Ubuntu said. "They may just be staying until light before moving on." Paven. "They are warriors and mean to... They are warriors and mean to kill everyone who comes across their path. That's why they came with such noise and light. It is a challenge." Paven stood at his full height, facing Ubuntu. He had run from his shelter with only his waistcloth on, and now his massive shoulders and arm muscles rippled as he flexed them, the scar on his face and chest from a long-ago ice bear attack standing out white in the light of the now-risen moon. "Ooh. How could you know that? How could you know that?" Ubuntu asked. Paven scowled and shook his head, as if he couldn't believe anyone would question what seemed obvious to him. Atu studied Paven. "A Shukat said he had gifts. Damn it, a Shukat said he had gifts. What if he somehow sees something we don't sense?" "We don't know who these people are, or why they travel with such ceremony. The wise thing to do is to watch and wait, and not alert these people of our presence before we know something about them." A Shukat spoke, seemingly unperturbed by Paven's stance as he towered over the bent old man. "Our few hunters wouldn't stand a chance," Ubuntu said, putting his hand on Paven's shoulder. "This is not about a hunter's honor. It is about putting the safety of our clans first. Did your people ever encounter others like them, a Shukat, with numbers like the pebbles on the beach, too many to count?" "Yes. Who are they, mighty seer?" Paven sneered at a Shukat. "I don't know," a Shukat replied. He seemed shaken. "We have never seen so many people together in one clan, or even in groups of clans." "The seers are not spirits. The seers are not spirits, but human." Ural moved to stand beside her man. "We can't expect them to know everything. A Shukat and some of his people have great gifts, but we must not assume they know more than their gifts or their past teaches them." This is rough, dude. "What good are your so-called gifts?" Paven asked. "You couldn't see a huge clan of hunters in giant canoes coming toward us. I say your gifts are worthless." "Father is afraid. Father is afraid," Rika whispered to Atu. "He covers it with anger, always." "But he loses honor, disrespecting an elder." Atu looked at Ashukat again. The man did not even glance his way, but the seer spoke into Atu's mind, as if a Shukat were beside him, whispering in his ear. I am also afraid, Atu. Atu, aren't you?" "I am also afraid, Atu. Aren't you?" Sounds cool. Shukat's voice. Inside my head? And I'm not dreaming? Atu felt his whole body tense. The hair on his arms stood up as he glared at a Shukat. "How did you do that?" He took a step closer to the seer. "Do what?" Rika asked. "What are you talking about? A Shukat didn't do anything." She reached for Atu, but he moved away from her to stand facing a Shukat beside Paven. I can't feel my feet. my feet fell asleep. Hold on. I think this chapter's almost over. Killed it. Oh man, I'm so behind. This is chapter 4 of 28, and this is due at the end of December. I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna do. I gotta start doing like 2 a week. She reached for Atu, but he moved away from her to stand facing a Shukat beside Paven. Well? Came a Shukat's mental question again. Okay. Well? Came a Shukat's mental question again. And this time, think your answer. Atu thought back a strong, yes. Yes. It's hard. A Shukat flinched, and Atu was sure the seer must have heard his response. But a Shukat continued as if nothing had passed between them, speaking in a voice that carried to the people now gathered around them. I can't tell if this is an evil thing. These people coming. It's as if my senses are blocked to them. I feel a deep sense of dread, and I don't know if it's just from the sight of this horde of people, or it's because we couldn't sense them, or if it's my gifts alerting me. Perhaps these people are violent. You may be right, Paven. We need to gather our hunters and sneak up on them while they sleep. Then we can. Paven began. Ubuntu interrupted. We need to get our women and children off this beach into a place of safety. Then a few of us can go to their camp and watch from a distance, try to discern what they are doing and whether or not they are staying or just stopping for the night before continuing their journey. Father is right. Let's go. Atu said, and he turned and strode up the beach. The others quickly gathered their families, moving back toward their shelters. Within moments, Paven stood alone on the beach, his mouth still open as if to issue orders to the sand. Soon. Okay, a little bit more. The clans worked furiously to remove all signs of their ever having camped in this place. They dug holes and buried all their ashes, bones, and other debris. Ow, my butt. Mievu worked alongside Rika and Ural and the other women, strewing small rocks along paths they had worn near the edges of the trees. Three-line sentences. It's like I gotta work on my breaths. Ow. Mievu worked alongside Rika and Ural and the other women, strewing small rocks along paths they had worn near the edges of the trees, taking handfuls of leaves and covering others. Ashukat's people were last out of the camp, pulling pine branches in front of them as they walked backward, brushing away any last traces of footprints or other marks on the sand. If the fiery canoe people did stay and sent scouts north too far into the trees, they'd see pulled off branches and many saplings cut down. But Ashukat thought if they passed by in their boats, the beach would now look untouched by humans. The canoe people will probably paddle by next sun, Ural said as she worked beside her man. Now they'll never know we were here. I hope so. Ubuntu lifted their last pack and they headed toward the rock in the nearby caves. Suka. I am Suka. I don't think it will work. Suka whispered to Atu and Kinnak as they finished covering a well-worn path along the edge of the small river that ran through the narrow canyon between the beach and camp of the Seers. Cool. That's good. No, it's fine. I don't think it will work. Suka whispered to Atu and Kinnak as they finished covering a well-worn path along the edge of the small river that ran through the narrow canyon between the beach and the camp of the Seers. I added another the that didn't need to be there. Anyone who looks closely will see that many feet have traveled here, Atu said, his voice even quieter than Suka's. Anyone who looks closely will see that many feet have traveled here, Atu said, his voice even quieter than Suka's. Kinnack. I'm Kinnack, I think. But what else can we do? Bruna told me that enemies of his ancestors once set an ambush for them and tried to steal their women. They meant to kill all the men of their clan. The seers barely escaped. Kinnack's lips were a tight line across his face. What if these people are like them? Rika moaned in her sleep. She and Atu had moved their things into one of the back caves and now sat by the fire near the opening to the caves. What? Come on. She and Atu had moved their things into one of the back caves and now sat by the fire near the opening to the caves, resting before heading out again to help others move. Rika had fallen asleep as soon as her head touched Atu's arm. Atu reached for her, but Rika pulled back, her eyes now open, wide with fright. No, no, she whispered. What? Atu held out his arms, and Rika moved back into them. I dreamed, she said. She said. There was a woman. She was surrounded by fire, but it didn't burn her, and she was very sad. She held a Pulik in her arms, very small, a newborn. His eyes were closed. He did not burn either, but Atu, it felt like he had died and was in the between of death. Still, she held him, and he didn't burn. And she didn't burn. She looked at me. She was so very sad. Rika trembled. Rika trembled. Did she speak? No. I woke up. Rika pulled back to see Atu's face in the firelight. What do you think it means? Am I to have a son who dies? Atu shook his head. Dreams, Rika. Remember, they are tricky things. You just saw the fiery canoes tonight, and you may simply have dreamed of the fire, mixed with your fear for our people. For us. That might be all it is. It is. I pray you are right, for I could not bear to think I might have a newborn son, only to have him die. Oh, shoot. Chapter 5. Scrolling back into the beginning of this story. Holy crap, where is it? Oh my goodness. 48 and it ends on page like 62. And that wasn't even recording, that was just me talking. So I've been streaming for 54 minutes, but I know for the first, 20 minutes I didn't say anything. I don't remember when I started. Oh, boy. Alright. Gifts. I'm just gonna have to say gifts. And the gifts. 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 Whiny mode activate. Crapology. Alright, well, I'm gonna go, and then I'm probably gonna record in like an hour. Awesome. Stay frosty, I guess. I don't even know what that means. Goodbye.